I've done it again. I was on mute, wasn't I? Good evening, good evening. Welcome to episode 25. B, let's talk. And today is going to be a special one. I'm with Dr. Taranjit Ohson, episode 25, and we're going to talk about skinny fat. So not like big goggers like mine, but skinny fat. Anyway, let's bring him in. No time to waste. Dr. Saab, come in, sir.
All
How are you,
right.
Doc?
Doing well.
You,
You can hear me
you
okay?
good? Yeah, thank you for joining me. How are you?
Doing very well, thank you. How are you doing?
Good. Whereabouts are you? Are you in the west side or are you in the east?
I'm in Toronto, so east side.
Brampton.
No, Toronto.
Main Central.
Was that sorry?
Central, downtown.
Outside, uptown.
Acha. Oh, everything was good?
Yeah, everything's excellent. Yes.
Okay,
Thank
let's
you
get,
for
let's get
having me.
into it then. So tell us a bit about yourself,
Yeah,
and then I'll fire
so
some questions at you.
yeah, definitely. So my background, I'm a sports chiropractor. Um, and basically I have a couple of clinics that I work with a lot of athletic population. And then I have a private practice where I work predominantly with professional athletes. And then I started this new kind of venture working with South Asian men. And this kind of all started when I was diagnosed with being pre-diabetic and having my own health concerns. And that's kind of when I was like, all right, I need to learn more about what's going on with my health. And then from there, I got to connect with a lot of my former mentors who've worked in South Asian health predominantly. Dr. Sonia Anand being one of them. And that's kind of when I stumbled upon a lot of the research in the literature that I was like pretty floored when I learned a lot about it. And then from there, I kind of just started to be like, hey, I need to start to educate our South Asian brothers to have a
Definitely.
little bit more awareness of kind of what's going on because a lot of these things to our European counterparts, it's like crazy how heart attacks, diabetes, like all this stuff we'll get more into, but it's like it's hitting our South Asian men at a much earlier age. And the things that we predominantly would do when the age of 50, where you get you start getting your prostate examined, you start getting like you get your colonoscopies, like the standard routine things when you turn 50. There's stuff for South Asian men that needs to be done at a much earlier age and as early as in your 20s is what I'm finding.
So is this what inspired you to talk about longevity and study longevity of South Asian men?
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of what fueled a passion of mine to kind of just, and I didn't have any goal with all this social media stuff. I didn't have any goal other than just, documenting my journey, the things that I do. I don't know everything. I know very little, but the things that work for me, and then just trying to, help whoever is willing to listen and help whoever, wants the help. And that's basically where I'm at today.
Okay, let's talk a bit about your upbringing. Where were you born? Were you born in Toronto or?
Yeah, so I was born outside of Toronto. Outside Toronto, a little town called Hamilton, a little steel town, blue collar town. And then I grew up there, did my schooling there, went to McMaster University, and then I did my chiropractic degree in upstate New York.
Okay, and your family, your parents?
Parents were born, in Delhi, and then dad grew up in Jamshedpur, and then they came over. My dad's a physician, and my mom also works in the office, so then they came over, did the residency in Fogo Island, Newfoundland, and
Brilliant.
from there. Yeah, and then they made their way over into Ontario. My dad did a little time in the UK as well, so he's been around.
Oh, where was in the UK?
I think he was, I think he did some time in Manchester, Birmingham,
Okay,
around
yeah.
there. He did some electives, yeah. And I've been to the UK plenty for work, so it's been great.
So did you study sports and physiotherapy or
Yeah, so
chiropractor?
sports chiro, yeah. So yeah, I did a generalized doctorate in chiro, and then I basically sports specialized through later training and also just having really solid mentors. Um, from there, I kind of got into the professional sports world very early in my career, and then it kind of just blossomed into what it is
So
today.
chiropractor is when you do that cracking and snapping and popping, isn't it?
Not really. That's kind of the old, like that is a part of, a lot of people think that's all chiropractors do, which is um, not really true anymore. A lot of the new age chiros, including myself, I don't do a lot of adjustments anymore. Um, but it's a lot more, I would say, integrative with exercise, active release, hands-on techniques, soft tissue work, acupuncture, cupping, the whole kit and caboodle.
So, what does actually a sports DC and longevity mentor actually involve?
So yeah, that's a good question. So like I said, with the sports side of everything, I work predominantly with professional athletes. And then the longevity side of things, it's kind of a marriage of like kind of what I do in my practice and what I do with the South Asian health as well. It's kind of like I married both of my passions together. So it's really
Yeah,
just talking about like how we can create, because I learned a lot from my pro athletes, like how do these guys come show up every single day? How are they so driven? How do they stay determined? Obviously, it's their livelihood and it's how they make an income. But it's like, how can I take those things that I've learned from them and also adopt it into our, everyday athletes? Um, and the big thing that these guys always preach and they're looking for, and they're always looking for the cutting edge is longevity. How can they uh, you know, sustain their career. Because at the end of the day, you're only making money when you're actually employed by your sport.
that's
So
true. Yeah,
those kind of things that I've learned, the whole, these pro athletes are always looking to be in the show, and they're always looking to stay relevant in their sport. So they're always chasing longevity, sustainability, and resilience. And then I kind of
brilliant.
just learned that. Yeah.
Okay, in short, simple terms, what skinny fat mean?
So skinny fat it's a very crude term. I honestly don't like it, but it is what it is. It's in the medical terminology, it's known as TOFI, thin on the outside, fat on the thin
Ah,
on the
okay.
outside, fat on the inside. And it's essentially a phenotypic presentation. Phenotypic, there's genotypic, phenotypic.
Yeah,
It's a phenotypic of what you would actually see. Um, it's a phenotypic stereotype of, us South Asians. I'll speak to our Indian population, but it's unfortunate, but it's like you often see a lot of South Asian men with the skinny arms, the skinny legs, and the what I call the deli belly.
yeah.
And so it's a very common characteristic of our people, and that's not beneficial to look like that.
Okay, what is skinny fat body type? So why is it so common in South Asian communities? Is it the diet or is it the routine?
Yeah, it's a good question. So the saying is genetics loads the gun, lifestyle pulls the trigger. So it's a marriage of the two. So there are genetic factors in regards to like we are more um, insulin resistant at birth. That is just a known fact. We do develop more visceral fat. That's the fat that kind of hugs around our organs. Culturally as well, if we shift more into the lifestyle, which is I think more important because genetics are genetics. You're dealt the hand you're dealt, and it is what
Yeah.
it is. But the lifestyle is more important, and that's kind of what I want to talk about more because genetics is whatever. Like everyone's got their thing,
Hmm.
and there's not much you can change the epigenetics, or you can change. I'm just gonna move my phone here so it doesn't get in the sun. Um, that's okay. Yeah, there we go.
Go for it.
So yeah, so the lifestyle is what I really want to focus on because that's more what we can. That's more what's in our control.
Yeah,
And really, the reality is we're in control of three things in our life: what goes on in our brain, so the rewiring, the mental, what we eat, and how we move our body. Outside of that, you can't control anything else. Those are three things in your life that you can control. So this is where I kind of want to focus is the lifestyle stuff. So culturally, I'll speak more to Indians because I am Indian. Um, culturally, we are just not as active. Like growing up,
yeah,
like the gym was not a thing. Like I remember like having whey protein powder and creatine and stuff like that in my house, and my parents and my grandparents thinking like, I was on steroids, and it was very frowned upon. And it's like the age old thing that's like, what's wrong with you? Like, why aren't you eating your chapati and roti and dal and sabji
yeah,
and all that stuff? Like and there's nothing wrong with it, but it's just like we live in this culture where it's just like mom's cooking is the healthiest, it's the best for you, and you should have a little bit of chubby cheeks and a little bit of a belly
yeah.
because that is healthy. So a lot of it is like, yes, dietary is, I'll get to that in a second, but like we just don't move. Like we're not a very athletic culture. We're not a very athletic um, people. We're very cerebral. We're very, book smart, doctors, engineers, all that stuff. Like that's kind of what we're good at. But we just don't move as a culture. So that's one big thing that I definitely see is like um, we're just not as active as our European counterparts, and it's also just not really celebrated. Where like in our Caucasian fellow brothers, it's like you want to be the biggest baddest guy in the gym, but for South Asians, it's just like the gym is just like it's like foreign to most of us. So that's a huge aspect of it. And then the second thing is our diet. Like um, South Asian diet is just very uh, it's just
Oily.
very low in protein and just very high in carbohydrates. And also just as well, there's just a lot of misinformation. The big thing that I have, and that's kind of what put me on the map, and it is what it is, but it's just like, I kind of went after dal. And everyone has this idea that dal is very, very rich in protein and things like that. But the reality is, it's like the dal has protein, and if you actually look and break it down, 100 grams of cooked dal, whatever it's mung dal or that depends. It ranges anywhere from 8 to 10 grams of protein, but it's a 3-to-1 carbohydrate ratio, 25% of that being fiber. So it's still an excellent food for you. It's great in complex carbs, very rich in micronutrients. But it's like a lot of people just don't understand what is actually protein rich food versus what is food with protein. So there's basically just a lot of lack of education, I would say, in our community, and there's just a lot of cultural uh, pressures that kind of impede, um, people becoming the healthiest version of themselves.
Okay, what about chickpeas? Are chickpeas good for you?
Yeah, everything is, and this is the thing that I tell all
In
my patients and
moderation.
clients, and of course, everything in moderation, but it's just having a good idea of, so like some of the easy things I tell people is just like, and most of us, most of us Indians are vegetarians. So, and there's a common myth that you can't get enough protein or eat healthy as a vegetarian. It's very not true. Like even my wife and I's diet, like I only take meat once a day. My other meals are purely vegetarian. So, I tell people it's like if you could have your dal, your chapati, your this, your that, but like pair it with high protein sources that are vegetarian.
Right. Okay.
And
What unique challenges do South Asians face when it comes to fitness and nutrition?
sorry, say that again.
What unique challenges do South Asians face when it comes to fitness and nutrition?
Yeah, I think I kind of already covered that a little bit. I would say it's just the barriers of entry and the lack of education. So, like I said, like culturally, we just aren't really like that athletic. The gym and exercise and lifting weights and stuff isn't really something that is like we're brought into. Like I remember when I started in the gym when I was in high school and stuff like that, like it was very much frowned upon. Like I remember going and visiting, and our people are very blunt. They'll tell you how you
Yeah.
see it. And I remember like starting to put on muscle and things like that, and my grandparents were like, "You're getting too big. Like this doesn't look right. What's wrong with you? Like this isn't normal. This isn't healthy." Um, so I think, you know, we have a wonderful familial unit. Like our culture is so based in, rich in family and family help and support and things like that. And I think that is very special. Being South Asian is we have a very tight knit familial community, and that's kind of just culturally that's how we are. Um, but I do think in times it can be a bit of a barrier.
Definitely. Okay, how can you reverse skinny fat?
Good question. So the thing is, and when I'm working with a lot of my patients and clients, a lot of the times it's just the simple things. The biggest problem I would say that people come to me for is they want to get a six pack in 60 days or six
Yeah.
weeks, or like they want to get shredded, and they look at me and they're like, "Hey, like how can I become like you?" And I'm like, "Listen, because it'd be very easy for me to get you shredded or this in 60 days or whatever, but the reality is it's just not sustainable. It's not healthy, and it's not going to be something that you're going to be able to continue to do. It's just simply not healthy. Like it took me a decade to build where I am, and I made a lot of mistakes on the way. So I would say I'll get into that question in a second, but I would say the biggest mistakes people make, I would say the number one biggest mistake, actually there's two. But there's number one biggest mistake I find people make is they cut their calories way too fast right away. And the problem when you do that is it essentially, to just simplify it and not get too sciencey, is it just tanks your metabolism. So your body almost kind of goes into a little bit of like a starvation mode,
Sure.
and it
Yeah.
tries to protect that, because that fat is our storage. That's our energy storage. So when 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 nutrition is when calories or your fuel starts to get depleted too quickly, your body doesn't have an opportunity to get used to it. And it almost goes into a little bit of a high sympathetic starvation mode, and it panics. So most times guys shoot themselves in the foot by just dropping their calories way too low, way too quickly, when in reality what you need to do is, and I'll break this down now, I'll come back. What do you actually do to reverse skinny fat? So it's a great question. So the biggest thing I tell guys is most people in general don't eat enough in the day. Most guys are like, hovering from 1,000 to 1,600 calories a day, which is way too little, especially if you're, pushing in the gym, you've got busy jobs, you've got family, stuff like that. You're just operating on fumes. So most guys metabolically aren't as efficient. So first thing I do with all my people is I get them slowly where they're at their baseline, which is, let's say, 1,500 calories, which is way too low. We calculate their maintenance calories, and then we slowly bring them up to a maintenance. We have them hang out at a maintenance for anywhere from 4 to 8 weeks, depending on, there's some factors at play to like regulate their weight, things like that. But we put them in a maintenance for as long as it takes for the body to kind of baseline, and then from there we know metabolically, hormonally, as well as thyroid function is going to be more optimal. And then from there, they're at a better baseline where we can start to make changes. So once we hit that kind of metabolic, I would say, reset point, then it's a decision of like, hey, you need to build more muscle, or hey, like, you've built enough muscle over your years of training where we can start to do a very, very slow deficit cut.
But
So,
it's not an overnight thing, is it? And I think that's where
sorry.
people make a mistake. It's not done overnight, is it?
No, like, to give you reference, like, I'm posting all these pictures of me absolutely peeled, but it's like I've been resistance training on and off since I've been like, in college. Like, started like picking up weights. I had no clue what I was doing when I was younger, but I would say I really started training about 10, 15 years ago, and I had, good years, and I had bad years, but that's basically it. So it's like a lot of these guys will want to get six pack abs and all this stuff, but they've been only training for like a year, and it's like you haven't built
Yeah,
any muscle. So if you all leaning down will expose more of who you actually are underneath all the layers of adipose tissue. And if you don't have a solid foundation and you lean down, you're basically just going to make yourself skinny fat.
definitely. Okay, you talk a lot about rewire, rebuild, and refuel. Break this down for us.
So those are basically the three pillars that I use to coach, whether it's someone who's trying to improve their physique or trying with like everything. So like I said before, there's three things you can control. What goes on in your brain, decision making, thought process, all that stuff, you can control that. What you eat, that's so rewiring the brain,
Yeah,
refueling, eating, and rebuilding your body. So the only three things you can control in your life. So the rebuild is essentially, because my background is in sports medicine, and a lot of people are coming in with injuries or things that are preventing them from being able to do certain exercises, or stuff. So it's rebuilding their body essentially. So whatever rehab exercises or treatment or things like this that need to be done to get them out of pain, that's part of that pillar. And then of course putting them on a periodized workout plan so that they, um, are progressing every single day, not just staying still. So that's the rebuild pillar. And then
so
the refuel pillar. Sorry, go ahead.
now go on, carry on. The
Yeah,
refuel.
and then the refuel is basically taking a deep dive, like we talked about on the nutrition, making sure they're getting adequate
Yeah,
protein, making sure they're getting healthy fats. Fats are super important to eat. A lot of people shy away from fats because they think eating fat will make you fat. It's quite the opposite. Eating healthy fats will actually improve fat loss because it upregulates fat oxidation.
yeah.
And our diet is typically very devoid in healthy fats, monounsaturated fats in particular. Those are the healthy fats.
So
And then
how do you find
rewiring.
your clients?
Sorry.
How do you find your clients? Through the gym or do they get referred or?
Yeah, so in my sports medicine practice, it's usually referral, word of mouth. It's all honestly, my whole business is word of mouth, all word of mouth. You do, and that's to me, um, that is the number one referral source because at the end of the day, if you do good work, you deserve more work. If you do shit work, you don't deserve more work. It means you need to work on yourself.
Okay, how do you help people mentally shift from survival mode to strength building mode?
Yeah, that's a really good question, and that kind of finishes off the three pillars. It's all in the mental. It's all in the mental. So whether I'm helping someone get out of pain or helping them, become a healthier version of themselves, it's all about identifying the roadblocks that inhibit people to be consistent. Because the name of the game, whether you're rehabbing a knee injury, whether you're trying to get shredded or you're trying to put on muscle, it's all about the principle of compound consistency. Everyone understands compound interest when they're trying to make money. You invest your money over time, it compounds. It's the same idea with building an amazing body, but bigger than that because my platform is bigger than just building a body. It's building proper health and longevity. So not every day is going to be perfect. Some days you're going to work out and it's going to be absolutely trash. Some days you're going to have no energy. Some days you're going to be down in the dumps. But if you're showing up, 10% is better than 0%. So
100%.
over time, as you start to, put small deposits in every single day, that's going to start to compound. And that's the biggest thing as a mentor, as a coach, as whatever the hell you want to call me, is figuring out what people's roadblocks are to essentially be able to unlock that compound consistency mechanism.
Okay, what's one bit of advice you would give to somebody that wants to start training or get rid of their skinny fat? The first thing you say to them. So if somebody walked up to you today in the gym, what would you say to them?
Yeah, so to really simplify it, there's, I would say, about five things without getting too detailed and sciencey. Honestly, if most people just follow these five things, they would already be 80% there. So number one is resistance train. We got to get in the gym and we got to push. There's no shortcutting, and none of this is a shortcut. You got to earn it. If you want your health to be like the amount of work that you put into your health, it's going to give it right back to you, right? So resistance train 3 to 5 days a week, right? Take 2 rest days. Most people sometimes are on the other end where they're overtraining like crazy. They're not giving their body rest. 3 to 5 is perfect. If you can do three, great. If you do four, great. If you do five, great. The next thing is 1 gram per pound of goal body weight. Most people in general, I would say, absolutely undereat protein. Very high carb diets and just not enough protein. So that's number two. Number three is 8 hours of sleep. Sleep is just a superpower, and you need your sleep. If you're not getting your sleep, there's no way you can make progress. Number four is 8 to 10,000 steps a day. We live in a very sedentary society now where even me, I'm standing here. I'm at least standing. I'm not sitting, but I'm at
Yeah.
least standing. Most of the time, I take my client calls, my meetings, my business calls, all that stuff on the treadmill or walking. Very rarely am I sitting, or part of it is I'm ADHD OCD, so I need to be moving all the time. So it's a little bit of my superpower, but 8 to 10,000 steps. It's a super easy way to just move your body. And there's so many therapeutic benefits to it. And even for me, where I used to do like crazy amounts of hit cardio and stuff like this to try to get lean, I found when I just walked more and moved more and broke up my movement throughout the day, my body reacted a hell of a lot better.
Okay,
And the fifth,
you just touched on my
yeah,
next question. Is cardio good enough, or should weight training be a priority?
weight training is a priority. The biggest reason why weight training is a priority is because the more muscle you have, the more calories you burn at rest. It's a simple BMR equation. So most guys just focus on cardio thinking it's the only thing to lose weight. It's actually you're making it more difficult on yourself and you're actually sabotaging your results. If you weight train, the more muscle your muscle is the most metabolically active tissue in the body. The more muscle you have, the more calories you burn at rest. Simple as that.
Fair enough. Okay, how often should South Asian men train to see results?
Sorry, say that again. You cut out.
How often should South Asian men train to see results?
Yeah, so like I said, 3 to 5 days a week. That's a good range.
See, because you train at Freebird, don't you?
I've done some shoots at Freebird, but I train at Pure Muscle and Fitness in Burlington,
Okay,
Ontario.
I thought you trained there with Sundhi Paji.
Not often enough. I'd like to be there more. It's just a
It's a
little too
nice,
far.
it's a fantastic gym, isn't it?
It's beautiful. Yeah, it's awesome, and it's amongst my brothers, so I feel at home there.
Yeah. Okay, how can we raise healthier children within our South Asian culture?
That's a really good question. I think at the end of the day, it's a simple answer is you got to be role models for your kids. So a lot of the patients and clients that I see, because at the end of the day, it's like I gotta really, because I'm very picky who I work with. I don't work with a lot of people. I would say 90% of the people that apply to work with me, I'd say, listen, I'm not the right guy for you because their why isn't deep enough. Their rock bottom isn't, you know, bottomed enough. Because if you're just coming to see me just to get a six pack and stuff like that,
Yeah,
you're it's not going to work. I know that it's not going to work because your why and your passion and your reason and your pain is not deep enough to actually do the things you need to do to be consistent. If it's all just for vanity and stuff like that, there are
fair
plenty of
enough.
other coaches out there who specialize in that. And there's 31 flavors of Baskin Robbins for a reason, and I'm not your guy. So I'm pretty strict with, who I take on because that's the biggest thing. Your why has to be deep enough. So, um, you know, it's just simply put, like you just have to be a role model. You have to show up and actually practice what you preach. And if I'm so blessed to be able to work with so many professional athletes, and these guys take their health incredibly seriously, and it trickles down throughout the family.
Fair enough. Okay, what do you say to older South Asian men? Say like my father's age. He's in his 60s. That says the gym's only for young ones, youngsters or young blokes.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's kind of just a generational thing. Like that's just kind of you know, most people don't make health changes until they see their family doctor and their doctor says, "Hey, you're
Yeah.
diabetic," or "Hey, or they had a cardiovascular event or whatever. Even then, I know so many people that have been diagnosed with being diabetic and they're like, "Ah, fuck it. Like I don't care." So it's like once again, it's just a generational thing where it's just, um it's tough to teach an old dog, you know, or
True.
whatever, the saying. So, but with my father, like, brought him into the gym. Taught him how to train. I taught him, and the guy, runs 5K every morning. Guy lifts weights every day. He goes, got like he's aging in reverse, and everybody says that he's like Benjamin Button. Like every time I see him, the guy looks more fit, more jacked, more tight.
Has he
And
got a
he
six pack like
found
you?
No, unfortunately, no. But he's muscular, and
Yeah.
he didn't have a background growing up with weightlifting or anything like that. So it's just like you're at the end of the day, your why just has to be deep enough, and if your why is not deep enough, then it's tough to make change for people.
Okay, how can we raise healthier children within the South Asian culture?
Yeah, so I think we answered that question. Like I said earlier, it's just being solid role models for your kids.
Okay, what's a common myth within South Asian fitness that you want to bust?
Common myth. Um, I think the big myth is you can't put on muscle being a vegetarian. I think that's a massive myth. Some of the
Yeah.
biggest mutants that I know in the gym are vegetarian, and I take advice from them. And I'm non-vegetarian, but some of the biggest guys I know that South Asian guys that I know are biggest and strongest are South Asian
And where do they mainly
vegetarians.
get their protein from then? If
As a
they can't,
vegetarian,
yeah,
Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, whey protein, paneer is also good, a little bit higher in fat. Uh,
yeah.
Soy products, tofu, seitan, tempeh. There's so many options. It's just about knowing your protein profiles, knowing what has protein and what doesn't, and what has more and what's better bang for your buck. That's all it comes down to.
Okay, what's your daily routine like? So diet,
Uh,
training, and mindset.
yeah. So, in terms of diet or just like workouts and stuff like that.
Just work out. How many times a week do you work out?
So I work out 5 days a week. So usually Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Yeah, usually Monday, Sunday to Thursday. So I'll do 5 days straight, and then I'll take Friday, Saturday off.
And what do you do? Like, do you do compound training or
Yep,
do you
I
do
do like a
different body
very
parts?
yeah. So Sunday is usually my my chest put like my chest and shoulder focus day. Um, Monday is like anterior leg day, so an anterior push leg day. Uh, that's Monday. Tuesday is my back day. Wednesday is legs posterior, and then Thursday is accessory and shoulders. And then Friday,
Yeah.
Saturday is usually like long walks with my rehab exercises and mobility
Okay. Any good client success stories?
work. Excuse me. Oh yeah, like I would say 100% of the people that I've worked with are already seeing results. Um, and the biggest things that we're going after, it's not the vanity, it's not the aesthetics. That comes with working on your health. So most people are reporting, better energy, better mood, just happier. Honestly, it's just happier humans. And at the end of the day, when you work on your health, that's really what you get back in return is just you just feel more vital, so to speak.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. And what's your message to the South Asian men struggling with health but doesn't know where to start?
What's my message to South Asian men? Okay, yeah,
Struggling
that's
with
a
health but
that's
don't know where to start.
that's a good question. Um, I don't know. Message me. Um, that's a really good question because there's a lot of information out there. There's a lot of misinformation. There's a lot, it can get very overwhelming. And that's another thing that I've noticed. A lot of people that's just like we have ChatGPT. We've got, you know, we're in an age now where there's, just there's over information and no one knows where to go or who to listen to or whatever. Um, I think it's simple. I think it comes down to, um, finding a healthcare professional that vibes with you, jives with you, and you know, you trust them, go for it.
So much of your clients Asian or are they mixed?
It's a pretty vast mix. Yeah.
Okay. Where can people find your programs or guides? Or do you like make them custom made for
Yeah,
people?
it's all custom made. So yeah, right now most people just DM me if they're interested. That is for the coaching side, and then obviously for the patient care side, it's all the same thing. If anyone's interested, it's just usually DM, and then from there, um, usually like a consult call to see if it's a good fit, and then we move forward. And if it's not, I usually refer them off to I give them a couple of other options.
So do you work in a clinic or are you actually based in a hospital?
No, I have two of my own private clinics here in the Greater Toronto area, and then I have my private practice with my pro athletes. Just me and my table, and around the world in my hands.
Fantastic. Okay, finally, what's next for Dr. Olsen?
What's that? Sorry.
What's next for you?
Uh, yeah, good question. So next big thing is the Canadian Open for tennis. So I'm working with a lot of the tennis players, Canadian guys, and some other guys. Then I'll be heading over for International World Cup of Tennis in September. And then in terms of content and stuff like that, I'm going to start to focus more on the actual rehab to performance, all the things that I've learned for like people, like all the things I've learned in my 10 years of working in professional sports on how to rehab your injuries at home. That's going to be a big push of mine in the future.
What's the most famous celebrity you've worked with? Are you allowed to
That's
say?
confi- that's confidential.
Wait, is it somebody quite big though?
We can say that.
Okay. Doc, that's it for today. I want to thank you for all your great
Awesome.
advice. Thank you very much. Big love and all the best for you.
I really appreciate everything that you're doing, and thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure.
Thank you, Doc. Take care, man. Big love. Thank you very much. Thank you for
Big
picking
love.
us up.
Thank you. Ciao for now.
Take care.
Bye bye.